Oh no. Well, you kind of need that. Or you don't want people to see your beautiful face.
Testing. Is anybody out there? Can you hear me? Say hi in the chat if you can. Might have to change this up a little bit. Oh shit, that looked like really cool on the TV.
Yeah.
Yeah, Micah just Snapchatted it how it looked to me.
Hey.
Yeah. Well, what's up? How you been, Jen?
Good. I'm doing fabulous. It is Wednesday already, which makes me happy because I have Monday off. So.
That's good.
How are you, sir?
I can't complain. Except for the fact that my right earphone is not working, and I don't know if that's you're coming through mono or if it's my sound. So I'm gonna test it really quick. Definitely comes out of both ears. It's almost like your like microphone is in mono. It's really weird.
That's weird.
Oh, now it's coming through both ears.
I just say, as far as I know, I have like Turtle Beach headphones, so I don't know anything else besides that. So.
Okay. Well, I think I got it handled. I think I
You,
have.
Mr. IT guy?
You know, I. It's so funny because I've been joking about getting the stream started and like the different things that we're doing, and
Right.
I'm really good at figuring out how to like make it work, and I can produce the show entirely myself. Like I know everything that I need to do. I know how to set everything up. I've gotten really fluid with OBS, which is like, what everybody uses to stream is Streamlabs or whatever. Like proficient with it incredibly quickly. But I have zero graphic design skill whatsoever, and I really need like a logo.
Well, I
So,
mean, that's something you can just like hire or ask somebody to help with this too. Just graphic design and stuff. So.
yeah, I think that's gonna be the play for sure.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Cool.
Well, um, what have you been up to these days? What are you doing for work?
I work for a finance company. This person who hates math. I work for finance.
Makes sense.
Um, yeah, right. Yeah, no. I still work remote, which is really nice.
That is nice for
Um,
sure.
Yeah, I've been doing it remote since last year, since it all started. At first I hated it because, I hated not having social interaction and living alone. So it was like I could literally go days without leaving my house and not talk to a single person. So at first I hated it, but now I really like it. So it was like I could literally, but yeah.
Well, you know, um,
Mhm.
as for all of the definitely very real struggles of being stuck inside, there's no question it's safer. Have you gotten the COVID?
Hmm?
Did you ever get COVID?
No, I've never gotten COVID, which is great because I have such a crappy immune system anyway that um it's kind of a good thing that I work remote too because I do have such a bad immune system. Um, but I've never gotten COVID. I know you got it a couple of times.
Yeah, I had it twice, and so did Micah, which was awful.
Yeah, it sounds terrible, honestly.
So be grateful. I mean, I think a big part of it is just I'm in 25 different stores a week.
Right.
So it's kind of like bound to happen.
Yeah, kinda. It's kinda when you're with that many different surfaces you have to touch and people you have to interact with. Kinda, yeah. Yeah. That's not fortunate for you at all. But you like your job though, right?
My job that I have now is the best job that I've ever had. And I'm so happy with it, for sure.
That's awesome. That makes
Yeah.
me happy to hear.
Yeah, it's been a good thing for sure. And it's provided us a lot of flexibility that I'm really grateful for as well.
That makes me happy. And you talk to people still, right? Like I know that's like one of your favorite things to interact with people and talk with people on your job. So
Yeah, so essentially what I do is I work for a company that's contracted through AT&T,
yeah.
and I my technical role is field, like my title is field sales representative. But
Right.
what I do is I go to like Walmarts and Sam's Clubs and Costco's, wherever people um, sell wireless, and I try to help the salespeople in those stores sell more AT&T
Gotcha.
specifically, because a lot of times they sell multiple carriers, or in general, I'm just like their point of contact and the AT&T expert on all things AT&T, because they have a lot of different things they have to know, right? They have to know their point of sale systems. They have to know their, procedures. They have to know their different ins and outs. I don't have to know any of that. I'm just the guy that gives them the raw stuff about AT&T specifically and tries to increase sales that way through influencing them.
Makes sense. And that sounds like something that you'd be good at too.
Yeah, yeah, that's been really good. That's been really good. Now that we're talking live, I wanted to thank you for hanging out for the last mega stream and adding really, really good commentary in the chat, because that was probably the biggest like solo project that I've done for not like a school thing or not anything. Like that was just like a point that I wanted to make that took me 2 hours to make.
Well, I was very proud of the PowerPoint. It's just, I think any teacher would be so proud of that
That
PowerPoint.
PowerPoint was
Yeah.
trash. That PowerPoint was there so that I didn't like say the same shit over and over again. It was there to keep me moving along. That was the only purpose it served. It had 3 good slides, and it was the one slide that had like the polls on it.
Right.
Uh, and then the beginning slide and the ending slide. Oh
Well,
man.
I'm kind of glad that you brought that topic up because it was actually something I thought about, like as a species before, as a human species. So when I saw that you were talking about that um in your live, I was like, oh, cool. I'm gonna join it. I can't join all your lives. I am busy sometimes when you go live,
Well, of
but
course.
that one I was like, oh, I really want to be there for that. So, that's why I was there. I was like, I actually want to listen to this. So I was like, cool.
What did
I
you
was like,
th-
this stuff, huh?
What did you think? Like, did you think that overall did I open your mind to some things at all?
Yeah, I mean, I've only ever looked at it the perspective of religion and kind of like what I see, like based what other people think about, relationships and how they work and what considered cheating and all of that. So there's just other things that I have not thought about what's considered cheating.
Yeah.
I only ever really thought about like the emotional and the physical sense. And I mean, I mean, everybody has heard about the whole you work so much you don't have time for your spouse or whatever. I never really thought about that as a sense of cheating, but I guess it makes sense if you spend so much time for something else that becomes your passion, not your spouse anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And just stuff like that. That opened my eyes up a bit. I don't have any personal relations to like, anything we really talked about, like you really talked about in the last one, because single, ready to mingle for a long time now. But um,
Which we're going to talk about tonight.
right. And that is a whole different struggle. Let me just tell you. But no, so that was all very interesting to me. I actually, funny story. So on Monday for the holiday, I actually went to Big Creek Lake near Sailorville,
Yeah.
and I went with my brother Josh and sister-in-law and my niece, and I was just laying there, on the stand, and my sister-in-law and I are pretty close, and we are very similar in the way that we think and our emotions. And I just randomly was like, "Hey, here's some food for you." She's like, "Food?" I'm like, "Food for your brain." She's like, "Okay." And I was like, "So, do you think human as a species is supposed to be monogamous? Or do you think, that we should have more of a choice, in our society if we go outside of being, monogamous?" And she said that even though that she personally would always be monogamous, she doesn't think it's a bad thing to, be poly. She's like, "I don't know why that's such a big deal. It shouldn't be such a big deal in society." And I told her I agree. Like, I don't think it should be such a big deal, but it is. So, you know,
Yeah.
it's just, I think it's just also a society thing. Hopefully, I don't know if I ever will, but hopefully in time, it'll become more, not normal, but more accepted, I guess. But,
I think that's the big challenge, but I think it probably came clear in my last stream that I think we're really up against a cliff. Yes, people are starting to accept that some people are polyamorous and not have a problem with it. But that doesn't
right,
change the fact that the vast majority of people are still operating under the idea that they should be more and more extreme regarding their sexual jealousy.
right,
Because that's the thing that I'm seeing that really worries me is the type of behavior that people do thinking that they're protecting their relationship is crazy. Like people be doing some crazy shit.
that's nothing new, but that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I, I just I had it's really funny. I had a friend on Snapchat literally put out a story the other day that was like, why are people incapable of even being friends with a member of the opposite sex anymore? And that was like, she didn't watch my stream. She had no idea that I had like just kind of brought that up. But it's like, we're wiring that into our culture in a really weird way. It's almost like the only way that you can talk to somebody of the opposite sex is if it's in a framework of, I want to date this person. That's the only
Right,
reason why we could ever possibly talk. There's no other place to stand other than, if I spend more than 20 minutes with you alone, that means I want more. Like that's clearly nuts. I have another friend that I hang out with sometimes, and I'm married. She
hmm
is single, and she was telling a coworker about the fact that we hang out sometimes and just watch TV and talk about life and different things. We've been friends since high school, right? And like
right.
her coworkers are like, "You hang out with a married man alone?"
Scandalous.
Like how
Right.
it's so inconceivable that someone could simply trust a person to not be in a room alone with someone else for a couple hours without trying to fuck. Like, I don't understand how we got here exactly, but I know that it's nuts, you know?
Well, that's so funny that you mentioned that because okay, I don't think any of my family members are gonna watch this show, whatever. But uh,
I should have
so
asked you beforehand. I'm like, oh, what kind of questions? Am I allowed to ask whatever I want here as we go
yeah, you
through?
can you can honestly ask whatever you want.
Okay, all right.
Honest. And all my family knows about this. Everybody really knows, but this doesn't have anything to do with asexuality. It has more to do with the whole opposite gender friendship thing.
Sure, yeah.
Um, so I went on vacation, right, to the Ozarks. I'm sure you saw some snap pictures. I went to the Ozarks last weekend, weekend before. Yeah, the weekend before I went to the Ozarks, and it was, kind of like a sibling get together. And my sister-in-law and brother-in-law have gotten really close lately because they're very similar in the sense that they love, staying up to 4 o'clock in the morning and going on adventures and, just doing spontaneous stuff. And my sister isn't really like that. So they've gotten a lot closer and they hang out all the time. And it's making her uncomfortable because the opposite sex. But I don't see them any more than like a brother-sister relationship or really close friends. Like I could never. They don't act like, and I'm just like, I know they're opposite sex, but they're not gonna do anything because it's still clear that he loves my sister, and that, my sister-in-law, and I think it's the whole thing with the opposite sex being close friends thing, like it's not like that, you can be close friends with opposite sexes, but it's just nobody really thinks that anymore, and that's kind of upsetting.
Yeah, it's also the idea that there's like competitive relationships, right?
Right.
As if getting close with somebody else somehow necessarily takes away from what we have. And that was the thing I hoped that I successfully broke down in that 2 hour long me talking fest is love is additive.
Right.
Like you can only have more love for more people. That doesn't take away from love from somebody else,
Right.
you know.
Right, and I
And
think for a lot of people that's hard to see too, like, you're spending so much time with this person, you must love them. Yeah, I love them. They're like a close friend of mine. Of course I love them, but I love you too, type of thing. I
yeah,
don't think, that's
those don't have to compete with each other.
right.
Yeah,
Right.
for sure.
For sure. But yeah, no, that's why I said like your live last time was really interesting. I really enjoyed it.
Well, I am so glad to hear. And if anybody else is in chat wants to check it out, the full 2 hours is on YouTube, and we dive into all of that stuff. But during that 2 hours, you chimed in with something that I did not know,
Yeah.
and
I don't like shoot it out to the mountaintop, but it's something recent for me for sure.
so talk about that. How did you come to
The realization.
identify as asexual? Talk about that.
Well, before I found out about it, I didn't know anything about it because asexuality affects only about 1% of the population. So, although scientists and there have been researchers thinking that there may be more, but as of right now, there's only a thought about 1% of the population. So I'd never heard of asexuality. I thought there was something wrong with me, you know? Because I thought, why can't I just make myself enjoy, having sex and all of that. Why can't I make myself, enjoy that? I tried so hard,
Well,
you know?
society tells you literally everywhere it can that you're supposed to really like sex.
Right, exactly.
That's
It's
not
everywhere.
exactly that's you want to talk about shouting from the rooftops. You can't you can't go anywhere without hearing how great sex is. So, for sure.
Right. And like I would like watch TV shows and stuff and there'd be like a sex scene or whatever and like I'd turn away from it because I'm just like, ugh. Like I don't wanna watch it. Like it's just not in my boat. I wanna watch everything else about the show. I don't wanna watch the sex. So I came across it because you remember Corey, and
How could I forget? How could I forget?
okay, so I we started hanging out and like we started doing stuff, and I was like, why can't I like make myself, like doing physical stuff with him? And I kept trying to make myself enjoy it, and it's been like this my entire life. But I was like, maybe it's just because I don't like him romantically. Maybe that's why I don't, enjoy it. So even though I would put up with him and we would do physical stuff all the time, and I genuinely cared about him, I stopped talking to him and seeing him because he wanted to have like a relationship with me, and I just wasn't really down for that because he was so young and we were on different spectrums of our life at the moment. So I told him, we can still be friends, and we're still friends now. Like, I mean, we're still Snapchat friends and everything, but no, I
That's
realized
more
at
than I
some
can say for me,
really,
Yeah.
yeah, didn't know that, but
He never talks to me anymore.
oh, I'm sorry. Well, you're not missing much, but anyways,
I'm not hurt.
um,
It's really okay.
but no, I figured it out with my last relationship. So I dated Dylan, and yeah, so that started me and Dylan, and I really liked him. Like, genuinely cared about him, was falling for him, like, getting feelings for him and everything. We started dating 2019, the end of 2019, and we went to Christmas parties together, and it was really nice. Like, I enjoyed having him around and everything. But there was a difference. There's one major difference between the two of us. He had um very high physical needs, and I did not. And I didn't know why. I was like, why can I not make myself I like genuinely care about him. Why am I not liking physical stuff with him, you know? I could not figure that out. I was like, what is wrong with me? Like I literally thought it was my medication because I'm on anxiety and depression medication, but it wasn't that. Because I even stopped taking it for a little bit because I was wondering if that was it. Bad decision, by the way. Don't ever cold turkey any of your medications. Anybody out there? Don't do it. It's really bad. Don't do that. Um, but I wasn't sure what it was, and the few times we actually like were in bed together and stuff, I'd have to drink wine. I'd have to drink before we get in bed together because I just wanted it to end. I just wanted it to stop. But
So
I did whatever.
did that help?
Not really.
Okay.
It just made it. It just made it like not so. I wasn't just so aware. I guess I wasn't. So mind-numbingly aware of everything, like looking around the room and just wanting it to be done. When I would drink, at least it's a little more tolerable, I guess. Um,
Yikes.
yeah. So I did not enjoy it, and then one night I told him. I told this before too. I was like, I just want to let you know that I'm not like you. I'm not like very physically demanding like you are. And he tried to accept that, but it didn't work out. So one night he came over. It's in February. He came over and to my place, and he wanted to hang out, and he was just very frustrated, sexually frustrated. And I told him I just couldn't, I wasn't in the mood. And he said he couldn't do it anymore because I wasn't, I guess, putting out enough for him. So we broke up. Um, I was obviously devastated because I genuinely liked him. I had feelings for him, and I was mad at myself because I couldn't figure out why I couldn't put myself, what everybody was talking about, how sex was so great and how it was amazing, and why couldn't why what was wrong with me? So anyways, then I went through a period of pretty much self-loathe and thinking I was gonna be alone forever. And finally, I don't remember exactly what I saw, but I saw something on Facebook that had something to do with asexuality. I'm like, what's asexual? The only thing I knew about asexual was from like biology when we learned about plants that were asexual, because that's how they reproduce. Plants reproduce asexually, and I thought, wait, is that a thing? Can people reproduce asexually? I knew it
Yeah, you're
wasn't a
like
thing.
all of a sudden you have lots of questions like, am I a plant?
Yes, I'm
Or
like, am I a plant?
that's funny.
Right? I was like, okay, but what is asexual? I've never heard of this before. So I looked it up on Google and I went down a rabbit hole and I started to get super, super excited because then I realized I wasn't alone, like this was normal. It wasn't like there was anything wrong with me. I just realized I was asexual. You know,
Let
I
me stop you right there for a minute because I think this
yeah,
is a bit of a PSA about how important it is to research and be educated and understand yourself on a deep level. You know, for me, when I started reading literature about atheism, for example,
right.
and understanding that that was, I was afraid of that term because of my upbringing and didn't
Mhm.
want to accept it. But when I realized that that was actually identified like how I saw the universe, it was like, I need to embrace this because this feels really good to understand myself on this level, and I could be more honest with people about who I am as a person. And that goes like quadruply, I think, for sexuality, you know? Like
Mhm.
that's a really fundamental thing. So understanding who you are sexually, I think is so valuable. And I think what you're talking about right there just speaks to how important it is, you know, uh, um, I mean, we've been out of high school now for a while.
Oh my gosh. Don't talk about how long it's been.
In other words, the time when you're supposed to be finding these things out is more than a decade in our past now, right? So it's kind of like, that's the stuff you should have been able to find out then, but at least now the information's out there, it's available, and I think if anybody watches this, they should, you know thyself, right? Really explore that. I just wanted to plant a flag there, but anyways, keep going.
No, no, that's great though because I can't even imagine like in the past before the internet what like how would you you would have to talk to people and then you would have to really trust these people you talk to about certain things because in the past, I mean, it's not as accepting in the past to be so broad. Like for example, asexuality is fairly new. It's not very old. Um, so if I was, 50 years in the past or whatever, it's not a thing really. And I would just think there's something wrong with me and, I'd have to take medications or take steroids or something, to or I'd just suck it up and deal with it, you know?
I would say
So
that probably even when we were in high school, like the odds of you going to a psychologist in Iowa that would have been able to point that out to you aren't very high, right?
right,
Because there's
right.
probably a lot of psychologists that, even though that's their field and they're supposed to understand these things and that's their role, they probably just haven't read about it because there's so much to know. And the way we educate psychologists and a lot of other people that are designed to help us through these weird challenges that we face
Right.
is really, they don't focus on the fringe things. That's why they're specialists.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's so true because I mentioned this to my family doctor too, and he was just like, "Well, maybe you just haven't found the right person yet." And that's the most common thing that is said when someone comes out as asexual is that you just haven't met the right person yet. Like that's what my parents said. That is where other people, like some of my other family members, have said, and I know that's not it. Like I generally have feelings for a lot of the guys that I've been with, but physically, I don't want anything to do with it, you know? But emotionally and romantically, yes. And like just like asexual, there's also aromantic, which is somebody that, feels no romance. So there are people that are both asexual and aromantic. I'm just asexual. I still have the romance aspect, so like I still, I still want to have that type of connection with somebody and get married and everything and all of that. And that just what makes moving on to the topic of online dating. That's what makes it really hard because there's apps for gay people and bi people and even people that are poly, but there's not anything for asexual people. So it's a bit hard. So on the dating apps that I'm on, you have to list a general description about yourself. At the very top of my general description, I put that I'm asexual because I had so many times have been with somebody, and as soon as I mention asexuality, like if I'm on a date or something, it's just they're obviously not into it, and that's fine. I get it. Like you need to have that in your life, but I don't, and I'm trying to not have that in my life because I do not enjoy it, and I am along the lines of sex repulsive. So it's a struggle in the dating world because asexuality is an umbrella, and I lie in like the sex repulsive, sex indifference area. So I don't want that in my life anymore. I'd be okay without it,
So
but that's
so let's slow down and talk terms, because I was actually when I was telling one of my friends.
I didn't mean to get ahead of myself.
Yeah, no, you're good. You're good. That's why I'm the host.
That's true. You are the host.
Because I consume so much talk radio. I'm embarrassed to admit that I'm always conscious of when like conversations have moved too fast for this format, and like you're losing people. Because it's happened to me a lot of times listening to podcasts and stuff where I'm like, hold on, I have to Google the last 5 minutes. You know. So
Go ahead. Cause like I don't listen to online stuff for obvious reasons because there's no caption.
well,
So
that makes sense. That's a good point.
Yeah.
I'm actually trying to figure out how to get captions for my videos. There's ways to do it in YouTube, but it's complicated.
but
But so what I want to back up with is, as you kind of alluded to, like asexual is kind of a suitcase term, and then you also have the aromantic people, and and when you have that together, that's probably pretty nice actually, because those people tend to be relatively independent and they're not interested in going out and finding, some kind of permanent dating life. But you're in that boat where you're on the more repulsive side of asexuality, and then but you're wanting the romance, which leaves you in this gulf, kind of like you alluded to. But if repulsive is the one side of the asexual coin, give us an idea from what you've learned about what's the range, and go ahead.
Yeah, no, I've been doing a lot of research on this because obviously I want to find out more about myself. Plus, there's Facebook groups as well. So, there's been a lot of discussions about this in different Facebook groups that I'm in. But there is a range. There is sex, believe it or not, there is sex favoritism, asexual. They like sex, but they don't need it. They don't have a drive for it. It's kind of hard to explain. I don't personally understand it completely because I myself am not, sex favoritism. Like I'm just not what I am on the spectrum. But that is an option. It's just very rare for asexuals to be that way. The most common is sex indifferent and sex repulsive. So sex indifference is obviously you just kind of deal with it, it's man, whatever, you don't need it, but you'll do it if it makes your partner happy type thing. And then there's sex repulsive, where the thought of it just makes you grossed out. You don't want to do it. You don't want to see it. I'm in between sex indifference and sex repulsive. So, like, when I watch TVs and stuff, and I'm just like, oh, skip. Or, like, sometimes I like reading romance. Like, I like reading romance adult novels.
I just want to point out that where you hit skip, I start to hit slow motion.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, okay, well, cool. So we're different that way. But it's so funny. So when you're reading an adult book, well, I don't know if you read romance books, but a lot of adult romance books. I do, though. I still love to read, but that's the problem. So adult romance books have a lot of sex in them, and I'm not here for the sex. I'm here for the plot. I'm here for the romance.
Let's be clear. Adult romance books have become softcore porn erotica, okay?
I know, it's so frustrating. It's so frustrating for people like me who just don't want... Like, I want to read a really good romance novel that takes place in the 1800s or something, because I like reading historical romance. It's my favorite.
Sure.
Yeah, but, like, literally, I find a book, and it's like, oh, great reviews, awesome, and I'll start reading it, and, like, literally, they're all sexual tension and passion and stuff, which is fine. But I don't want the book to be like 70% sex. Like I want some plot in there too, please. Can I have a little bit of romance in there as well? Like not just sex. That'd be great. Cause it's just our society nowadays. It's so sex charged, and I'm just not about that. It's hard sometimes, but it is what it is.
So a natural follow-up question, I think we're going to get into the real weeds here, is sex for a lot of people serves different purposes, but it has one universal, and that is the desire for an orgasm.
Right.
How does that work with asexual people?
Well,
is there a whole lot of self-care?
Yes. Believe it or not, a lot of asexual people do. I don't know how. They masturbate, okay? I don't know if that's a word that I can't say on this.
You can say whatever the hell you want as long as it's not like racist or homophobic.
I don't want it, if you get like strikes or anything, but.
No, I was about to say masturbation. I was just trying to build up to it, kind of like masturbation.
Oh my god, that's such an Alex thing to say. Anyways.
Yes, it is.
But like a lot of asexual people masturbate, including myself. I do too. However, I don't do it often, and I only do it because of the way it feels. It feels good, and it helps me release tension, I guess. I don't know, and I can only do it like in certain times of the month, like when. Now we're getting biology here. When like my cycle is ending, and like that's when the hormones are highest, I guess. That's when I can do it.
Yeah, so that's kind of fascinating. So for you, it's more like, and this happens, a lot of people think this is exclusive to men about, the amount of like feeling the physical need for a release. But that's kind of the difference for you is this isn't a pleasure job. This is getting the much needed physical release out of your cycle. That's very interesting.
Mm-hmm. For me, it's not like, I would say I hate it, but it's not like I, look forward. I don't know. It's hard to explain. It's just something that needs to be done, I guess. But honestly,
damn it! It's fucking masturbation day, son of a gun. I'm busy.
But it's honestly that's the way it is for me. I mean, it's not the same for all asexual people, but the stigma that asexual people don't masturbate is not true. It's very common. We do. I promise you.
Gotta have the occasional orgasm. That is, yeah, for sure. Yes, all right.
Exactly. But yeah, so I do have that, and then, but I've never had an orgasm like with a guy having, sex at all. Never have. Because for me that's not enjoyable. I do it for them. So, but by myself I can do it, but with other guys I can't do it. I've tried to force myself to have an orgasm with them and stuff, and like tried different ways and stuff. It doesn't work. So the actual sex act does nothing for me. So yeah.
Yeah. So that's and I think what you just said right there immediately hints at, I think, like you said, where the stigma comes in. Because I'll be honest, every guy hears, oh, well, it's never happened with a guy, and their sexual egos go, yeah, that's because it wasn't me. I could do it. Like, that's just where our dumb fucking ape brains go. Like, that's, it's like this reaction of, I want to be the one, like, challenge accepted. You know what I mean? Like, that's how people think. And
oh my God.
The reality is, that would probably be very difficult for you because you are asexual, right? Whereas we know our bodies very differently. Why are you staring at me like that back there?
Men are disgusting. Which is all I can think about right now.
First of all, you can't even come at me with that men are disgusting, because every girl I've ever talked to that's hypersexual has all this whole braggadocious, I'm a rock his world attitude. And then the second a guy has it, we're gross?
The difference is, girls actually mean it and do it.
I'm gonna deal with her later.
Okay.
Oh man. So, but that does bring up the point. Like a lot of people, I think, when they hear about somebody who's asexual, have that reaction of, like, it probably just hasn't been the right person. Liam says hi in the chat, by the way.
Hello.
It, and clearly that comes from just a place of ignorance, which I'm sure, I hope you don't take offense to when you see that. But I'm sure it gets exhausting. Like, people don't know about this, so that's their natural reaction, is like, I think for somebody who's hypersexual like myself, in fact, I suppose this is the time for the reveal, just to point out the differences between us. The shirt I wore for the show today says "Just Here to Bang."
Oh my gosh. I see it.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Did you wear that for the 4th of July too?
Of course. This is actually, who is it, babe? It's somebody.
It's my family.
Somebody in her family, or some part of her family.
Fireworks stand.
They have a fireworks stand down in Missouri, and
okay.
so this is their shirt. But I thought it was pretty appropriate for the topic.
Yeah. But I was gonna mention something about this too. Even though you've known me for a while, you know that I enjoy making random sexual jokes, and that's what she said. I still do that. Like, just because I'm asexual doesn't mean I stopped doing that. Cause trust me, I still do. And like, I don't know, it's weird. I can make dirty jokes and stuff, but like, I myself don't actually go into the act of it. So it's really funny to me, I guess, that I'm like that. I'm like totally cool with making dirty jokes, like, oh, that thing's so big. That's what she said, or whatever. But I myself am not a sexual person, so I don't know why I do that, but I do, and I always have.
So let me draw a bit of an analogy here, because
Sure.
I think that you just brought up something interesting, right?
Right.
I think for someone who is, Frog Life's Matter just said, "Why are you asexual?" It's called genetics, and yeah, it just happens. Some people are that way. I don't know. I don't know what could be meant by why, but typically it's genetics. If maybe that's why what they're asking. Okay, so here's the analogy. I think that a lot of people who are in your shoes can fully understand what it would be like, even if you can't imagine exactly what it would be like to be a very sexual person. You understand the conditions that people are in, but that's harder to do the other way around, right? It's a bit like someone who is very, very religious has a really almost impossible time imagining what it would be like to be an atheist. The funny part is what I often tell somebody who's super religious is you're actually an atheist about 1,500 gods right now. You're an atheist about Zeus and Poseidon and the monkey god Hanuman and the flying spaghetti monster, you know?
Right.
Like, so right at this moment, you can understand what it's like to be an atheist. Just like that, I think that for even somebody as hypersexual as myself, or people who are even way more than me, they can understand what it's like to be in a mode where you're not sexual. But we're in the sex mode so often that we don't think like that.
Right. I guess that's true.
Like, that's the thing I feel like you have to tie it back to is, what about when you're just really busy and tired and sex is like the last thing on your mind? Okay, that's it, like all the time. You know? You just have to tie it to that example to get them to see it, I think.
Right.
Anyway.
It's hard, like, to go back to, like, the whole dating thing, being asexual. So I cannot tell you how many guys have messaged me on these dating apps being like, oh, I bet I can change that, or, oh, you're asexual, why? Why would you be asexual? And I'm like, first of all, it's not a choice. I did not decide to be asexual. I just am. Kind of like how people are gay. They just are. I didn't choose to be asexual. I am. And then when guys are like, "Oh, I bet I can change it. I bet I can make you not asexual anymore. I can make you like it." That's not okay. Like you can't tell me that. And I understand it's just ignorance because, like I said, asexual is not very commonly known, and it's frustrating sometimes. But you can't change it. Sorry, any guys out there, you can't change me not being asexual anymore. It's not gonna happen. It's not how asexuality works. So sorry.
Well, so many men have just been really disappointed by that revelation. They've even deleted their dating apps. No, I'm kidding.
Mhm.
I
Well, yeah.
I so how recent of a discovery is this for you?
I stopped dating Dylan in February. Well, more like he broke up with me, but anyway, in February, and then I went through a couple of months of what the fuck, and then probably around the same time that I moved to my new apartment. So probably about a year now. Probably August of last year was when I realized that I was asexual. So yeah, it's been about a year. So not very long. And I'm upset that this isn't more talked about because I mean, you hear about bi people, gay people, lesbian people, and even other spectrums of that, but you don't hear about asexuality much. I know it's a small percent of the population, but we still matter. We still count. And there's people not knowing what's wrong with them, like me. Most of the people that I've seen finding out that they're asexual, they thought there was something wrong with them, you know? And until they figured out what asexuality was, they just thought there was something wrong with them physically and mentally, trying to get help. There's nothing wrong. It's just how you are. And it's just sad. So I didn't find out till I was 28 years old. And I should have known this back in high school or around the time when sexuality was talked about, but I didn't. Never heard of it. And I kind of wish I did, but yeah, not till last year.
Liam, that's real lame. That poll is not working. Did you type exclamation point vote and then exclamation point whatever thing? I wonder if I could do it. Vote.
Yeah, he wrote exclamation point vote.
You got to put a space in there, my dude. I tried my best.
Aw.
Let's try it. Let's see if I do it. What happens? It's a piece of shit. That's what happens. It doesn't work.
So bad when you say it, when you type it like that. Vote.
So the real question, Liam, is: are you gonna come on to do tier lists with me on Sunday? That's what the people want to know. Hell yeah, that's the show. Wait, you're so fucking lame, dude. Honestly,
Wow.
imagine setting me up like that only to fucking let me down.
Dang, that's cold.
Feels bad. Feels bad.
That's cat. Super sus. I don't know. What's that what people say these days? Sussy baka? I don't know. Is that what
Yeah, I don't know any of that Twitch speak. Hold on.
Do you want food?
No. Yeah, go ahead and throw it together. All right, so you updated your profiles that you're asexual on dating sites, and that's been hit or miss,
Mostly miss, but yes.
but mostly miss, which is
Mostly miss.
honestly to be expected.
Uh-huh.
And the exact reason I would say that is happening is because of how many people. Like, I have this happen all the time where I bring up the concept of polyamory, which has much more popularity in terms of what people know about it than asexuality, but it's still kind of
It's more of like a not a tab. It's kind of like a taboo thing, you know, like people don't like to mention it.
yeah.
But I know what you mean.
It's still certainly in the shadows, and a lot of people don't know about it. How often do you get asked to explain it and be and asked to be the educator for people?
You just have no idea how many guys have been like, so what's asexual? And I've gotten so many, and I don't mind explaining to them. But part of me is like, dude, just look it up, please. I don't have time to explain to over 50 guys what asexuality
Yeah,
is.
no,
Unless
I think that's completely
like,
fair. It's not your
yes,
responsibility to educate them. Absolutely.
right? And it's also hard too because half the time I start talking to a guy, I'm like, did you read my profile? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, did you read my profile? He's like, well, I thought you were really pretty. I'm like, okay, that's cool, thank you. So I'm asexual. And they're like, what's that?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, never mind. So, and I get it. Like, I get it's hard. It's hard because, like I said, it's just a small percent of the population. It's, it's like, part of me, it's been a while since I've come to the conclusion that there's a good chance that I'll probably end up by myself, and that's okay. I'm not against being by myself. But I mean, it took a while for me to make that realization and be okay with that fact because right now I have not found any guys that are asexual that I click with. Because the hard part is really just trying to find a guy that's even asexual because that's not as common as girls being asexual. I don't know if that's a stigma thing with guys expected to be more sexual or if that's just the way it is. Um, but finding a guy that's asexual first off is hard, and then even clicking with the guy and liking them on top of that is like really hard. Um, or finding a guy that's okay with not having sex very often, if at all. Like that's really hard. Um, but
So
a lot of guys that I've mentioned this to have also been like, well, you can't not ever have sex. You have to give me sex sometime. And I'm like, well, I mean, I guess, yeah, I just won't enjoy it. Like, sorry to tell you that, but it's the truth, you know? So,
yeah, that's a tough ethical pill to swallow too, because how are you gonna tell me that I must do something that is not to my benefit at all?
right.
That's a problem. That's very problematic.
Yeah, and so I don't, it's been kind of tough. So I've actually taken a small break from dating websites and dating apps and all of that, just because I was just tired of it, getting my hopes up, being let down, etc., over and over. I've been on many dates. And it's just gotten to the point where I'm just emotionally drained from them. So I've taken a little break from them for the time being. Um, but yeah, it's not fun. It's not fun. So yeah.
Somewhat recently, activist groups have included asexual in their acronyms when talking about alternative sexualities. Have you heard the new LGBTQIA plus? Have you heard that term?
I have. It's actually very commonly talked about, and people think the A stands for ally. It does not. It stands for asexual.
Correct.
Um, but there are people that still think that the A stands for ally, but it doesn't. It stands for asexual. And it's hard. What even kind of sucks too in that LGBTQAI plus like community, even in that community, asexuals get a bad rep too, because we haven't been what they consider prosecuted enough. Um, to be considered someone that's gone through hard times or whatever, like the other ones have. And I get that too. So even though we're allowed like to be part of like pride parades and stuff like that, it's just we don't really fit in there either. So it's like we don't really fit anywhere, and that's okay. It's fine. Um, but if you ever see an asexual flag, now you know what it means. By the way, if you never look at what the asexual flag looks like it is so me. By the way, I saw the asexual flag. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's me. Like even after I already knew I was asexual, I'm like, I love this flag. It's so pretty. It's such a pretty flag.
I'll pull it up here really quick.
Yeah, I love the flag personally, and it just screams asexuality to you.
Hold on. There you go. Everybody on screen, that is your asexual flag.
That's correct. Black, gray, white, and purple. Um, I personally love the flag. I
I
think it's really pretty.
I definitely love those colors. I
Right?
could see why.
Yeah, it's a very pretty flag, so if anybody ever sees that flag, that just means they're asexual. Aromantics have a different color flag. I think
Really?
theirs is like, yeah, theirs is green. I believe if I remember correctly, their colors are green. Um, but yeah, they have a different flag.
Oh yeah. Okay. Here it is.
Mhm.
It's like it has two different shades of green instead of the one shade of purple.
Mhm. Yeah. So
Interesting.
it's similar to asexual, but not quite. It still has the white and the black and the gray, but it's just the bottom color is different. That's all. Um, but
So
yeah, go ahead.
so
Sorry.
break is definitely good, I think. And I think it helps you kind of reset. I think that the way things are going 10 years from now, the resources for people of alternate sexualities and the societal acceptance and understanding of these things will go up a lot more over the next 10 years, thanks to activism. But that
Right.
doesn't help certainly anybody who's in that boat now. And you know we get older with each passing day, as I have hated to I'm like 5 months into 30 and not loving it. You know,
I can't wait.
it's like you have goals, I'm sure, that you want for your life, right?
Mm.
And if romance is one of those, you can't wait for society to get real cool over 20 years.
Right.
Like, so that I'm sure that presents kind of a challenge of how to navigate that.
And what's even harder is I want to be a mom. And
Yeah.
I know there's ways to be a mom physically without having sex, obviously. And I actually put that on some of my dating profiles that, I want to have kids. And of course, the most common question asked is, well, how are you going to have kids without sex? I mean, I can have kids without sex, but I don't know. It's kind of a conflict with me. I always think, if I wasn't asexual, I'd already be married and have kids by now. But I am, so I don't have a family and kids and everything now. I have a great job, though. I got that going for me. My goal right now in life is not romance, although that would be great. I would love to be in a romance. My goal right now in life is actually to make enough money to be able to afford a 2 or 3 bedroom apartment, house, or townhome and become a foster mom. I want to be a foster mom. Um, and I can do that in the state of Iowa and be single. So,
That's actually awesome. And I
yeah.
think very good to know for sure.
Mhm. So that's my goal right now in life is to do that. That I can still be a mom in a way, a foster mom, help kids because I love kids, even teenagers, and, and still feel like I'm doing something with my life as well as, in a way still be a mom, even if it's not like my blood kids. I would love to adopt, but oh my gosh, adoption is so expensive and it's ridiculous. Like there's no way I could be able to afford adoption unless it's like fostered to adopt.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but that is my life. And that's another thing asexual people also struggle with. If you want a family and all that, you've got to find somebody that's okay with, you being asexual to have a family or you're going to be on your own pretty much.
Well, and you're up against two things, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
let's say, kind of like you talked about, that to compensate for, the fact that maybe you can't give a partner what they need sexually, you would be open minded to them, having sex outside of the relationship in some
Mm-hmm.
sort of fashion.
Right. I am.
That's not
I'm
a,
very open minded to that.
but that's not a widely accepted concept.
Exactly. It's not.
In fact, it's hardly accepted at all. And I talk about it fairly regularly now. The different forms of open relationships and things like that, and how you can expand it. And you'd be amazed the level of resistance that you get from people who claim to be open-minded.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the one big advantage I think that, you know, asexual people have going for them right now is that it is a sexuality, whereas what I talk about is more of a philosophy. And that's the philosophy behind something is always harder to get people behind. That's why it took me 2 hours to make the points that I wanted to make in that show. Because if your philosophy is that the highest form of love has nothing to do with sex or physical contact in any way, and it couldn't even really be described as romantic, just saying that on its face, people who are very sexual are like, yeah, fuck off, loser. Like, you know, they're never going to get on board with that. It takes 2 hours to explain it, you know,
Right.
like I did in my video, that there's more at play here than what you currently think. Nobody wants to have their beliefs challenged that much. They're busy. They have their own goals and needs and wants and desires. And it also doesn't fit very well into a dating profile. Like, hi everybody, I'm Alex. I'm asexual. But I would totally be cool if we were in a relationship, if you had sex outside of that relationship, but I want you to put me first and make me the priority when it comes to romance and like love and that kind of thing. But you can totally have sex with other people. Like, that's fine. Like, you can't put that in a profile. Like,
Right.
you know.
No, definitely not. Doesn't really fly well. Oh, but I will tell you though, I surprisingly, because there's obviously people on dating sites that not even read your profile. They're just gonna look at your first picture and swipe, you know. And I've had a lot of guys that have profiles that literally just say, just looking for some fun or something like that. I'm like, dude, next. Or I've had people reach out to me that are poly. I had a guy and a girl reach out to me, and they're like, "Hey, we're in a poly relationship, and you know, we're just messaging you to see if you're interested in joining." And I said, you know, I'm asexual. I appreciate it. I'm not into the whole sex thing or whatever. And they're like, oh, that's fine, whatever. But I'm not against that at all. Like, if you're poly, cool, whatever, go with it. And I've had people reach out to me about it, but I just wish that was more accepted in society as well. You know. I don't know. I have like a lot of things in my mind right now. It's just like all scrambled because I never really talked about this stuff before, honestly, outside of my family. So
It's certainly hard to find people who are understanding of it and aren't just asking you questions about what it even is, right?
right,
Which that's probably I'm a curious kitten, so anytime I hear something new that I don't know something about, I'm like, research. That's my default thing.
right.
And
No, I'm the same too.
I learned about asexuality first like years ago, you know. But that has to do with I sort of travel in some of those circles, I guess you could say.
Sure.
What I think is this is like I think what's hard for people to wrap their mind around. I could be in a relationship with somebody who is asexual and would have no problem with it. This is not me asking Jenny out, chat. Calm down. We've known each other too long for that nonsense. Anyway, it wouldn't bother me because for me, the majority of what I get out of a relationship is connection, understanding. A big thing for me is I'm such a thinker and I'm thinking all the time. I want somebody to, like, the way I feel love is when they demonstrate they want to actually listen and care about the things that I'm interested in. That's really, really important to me. And I can't have a close relationship with somebody without it. And that is, in terms of my priorities in a relationship, way higher than sex.
Right.
And if I could get that from more male friends, you know, I would do that in a heartbeat and have, you know, very close relationships with, you know, other men that I've bonded with that is a lot more about kind of that relationship side thing, even if there's zero, you know, sexual attraction or desire for physical romance of any kind in that case. So
Right.
for me, I can wrap my head around it because close relationships are about so much more than sex. But you know, the majority of people think the point of a relationship is to have sex often, eventually make children via sex, and then, you know, go on some kind of permanent birth control and continue having sex forever. Like, that's just how they're wired. And it's hard to blame them. I mean, that's what all of our culture says. That's what our physical desires, if you're a sexual person, pushes you in. And the list goes on and on. But there's a way to value a lot of other things in a relationship that, you know, you could get without making that the primary focus. And I've had, you know, I have friends of the opposite sex that I can literally sleep in a bed next to, and there's not going to be anything sexual that goes down. But if they listen to me, you know, ramble about something that's important to me for an hour, that would be a way more intimate and way more important thing to me than any amount of sex that we could have. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
No, I definitely know what you mean. Obviously, I know what you mean. Um, I am the same with when it comes to obviously relationships. Like, I need to have a connection with them. I need to have deep conversation. But the moment it gets physical, like, okay, my, like I said, asexuality is different for everybody. You know, what they like and what they don't like. Then there's some asexuals that don't even like, you know, simple touches or hand holding. And that's fine. I, however, like cuddles, hand holding. I'm okay with kissing. It's not my favorite, but I'll do it, you know. I don't mind kissing too much. But anything past that, I'm like, no. Don't want to.
are we talking about like hardcore making out kissing, or, you know, light light kissing?
Like kissing, I'm okay with. Hardcore making out, that was another struggle for me when I was in relationships because, like, I literally, it sounds so bad, and I don't know how else to explain it though. I literally, if somebody's hardcore making out and like they have their eyes closed and all they're, you know, like moaning and stuff, and I'm just like looking at the wall kissing because I don't feel anything really hardcore make out. I don't. It's hard to explain. It's not like I don't care about the guy. You know,
Yeah, it just doesn't produce the same kind of bodily reaction
no.
that other people are getting. I get it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I like the intimate, like sweet cuddles and soft kisses and talking about deep secrets and, you know, looking at the stars and contemplating the apocalypse, that type of stuff. You know, that's the stuff that really, you know, gets me going romance wise. Like, but body wise, no. All I feel is like somebody's smacking their lips on my lips and trying to do something with it, and I'm just like, okay, yeah,
Yeah,
enjoy.
making out feels like it's supposed to go somewhere, and that's a place where
Yeah,
you're not going. Yeah, I get it.
no, not where I'm going. I'm not going down that road. And yeah, and it's only gotten worse with me. I used to be not so against it, but it's getting worse over time. And I think part of that is because, very long story short, I went through like some lot of mental stuff a year and a half ago, and it changed me. I am now a very big clean freak and germaphobe, kind of.
Mm.
I used to not be that way, and part of that has to do with me feeling better when I would clean. I used to, whenever I would go into like any of my like anxiety issues, an anxiety attack, I would clean, and
Yeah.
it would make me better. And now it's gotten to the point where I have to clean every week, and I have to lint roll on my bed before I get into it. Like I have to, you know, make sure everything is clean. Like it just, and because of that, thinking of germs when I kiss somebody or something like that, like it makes it worse now. So it's getting worse for me, not better. So definitely doesn't help with my asexuality. Kind of makes it a little bit harder. But yeah, so it's been changed over time, and I'm gonna throw out a couple more vocabulary words. Like, remember how I said that asexuality is kind of like an umbrella,
Yeah.
like an umbrella term? There's different types of asexuality. I'm sure you might have heard of some of them. Gray sexual, demisexual.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I want so bad to be demisexual, which is pretty much you don't get turned on unless you've been with somebody for a really long time and you form that connection.
Yeah.
But I don't think I'm demisexual because even though I had a connection with my past boyfriend and we were together for like 4 months or whatever, I still could not make myself want to be with him physically. So I don't think I'm demisexual.
That's not that long of a time though.
I know, and that's why I'm thinking if I might be demisexual, it would be with somebody I've known since high school who went to Minnesota to visit.
Oh.
Yeah. Because I could see myself being okay with having sex with him, and I don't mind kissing him or anything like that. It's not as bad with him as it is with other people.
Yeah.
So, and I think it's because we have such a strong connection and bond because I've known him since high school. But I don't know. I don't think I'm demisexual. I think I'm just more comfortable and okay with doing stuff like that with somebody I'm more comfortable with. But I don't think I get like a more of a bodily reaction or anything just because I've been with them longer or anything. But yeah. Anyways.
Yeah. So it's funny that you bring that up because in understanding myself, I can't believe I'm about to say this live, but I sometimes in the past have really struggled to stay hard with people that I haven't known for very long.
And that's understandable.
And it's like, while it's not true demisexuality because I am sexually attracted to them, there's just something about, there's something missing there where I haven't established a deeper connection or a deeper relationship with that person.
Right.
Right? Where it's holding me back, and I can sense that in the moment, and then anxiety kicks in because then you're like, oh my God, what are they going to think? Here's a guy who's not even 30 that can't keep it up kind of thing. You know, like it just, that's a spiral down, and then the whole encounter is bad from there, right? So like it's that's something I can relate to. The flip side is I have also had the experience where some people use the term or have used the term sapiosexual. Mm-hmm. Where you're attracted to intelligence and intelligent conversation. I definitely have had the experience where coming off of a really deep chat that's gone for a really long time is when I'm at my highest point of arousal.
Right.
So,
I've heard of that before.
You know, this is only to come back to the point of knowing yourself and understanding that there are so many different places to sit in terms of sexuality. That's not the normal, because the normal is, you know, or at least the most common, when I say normal, is you have a heterosexual person who's on average fairly sexual. While they don't prefer it all the time, they're perfectly capable of a one-night stand, you know. Mm-hmm. Like, they don't need that deep of a connection to be sexually attracted to somebody. It can happen very quickly, and the sparks go up. And then there's a million more places between there and being a true, you know, gray sexual, right?
Right.
So
and that's why I think it's definitely more than 1% of the population, because I have met people that have been like, oh, I can't have sex with somebody until I form a connection with them. That's the definition of demisexual,
right?
Demisexual, whatever. That's not uncommon. So that makes me think, you know, even though demisexual is a part of asexual, it still feels very common, and I feel like it's definitely more than 1% of the population. I could be wrong, obviously, but that's why I'm like, I wish this was talked about more. I wish this was, and I'm hoping that it is talked about more in schools now, or I don't know. I haven't been in school, 10 years now?
Yeah.
So I don't know, but I can definitely tell you that like I said, I've never heard of this term until last year, and the only reason I found out was because of social media. So, I don't know.
Well, and that's one good thing about the future of media and kind of what I want to do on this show is talk about things that a lot of people have never thought about, or if they've heard about it, they've heard about it in a really tiny way, but then to do deep dives on it and actually have interesting conversation about it.
Right.
There's a perfect example of that is one of the options that I had for next Sunday for our topics is, do we have free will? Most people aren't philosophical thinkers, right? Most people are. It's not that they can't have an interest in philosophy. It's not that they aren't interested in new ideas and the way we think, but they're not going to seek that kind of thing out. Meanwhile, I am. And because of that, something like 10 years ago, I discovered the whole argument of determinism and the idea that, everything that happens is based on a prior cause of the universe, including our brain states and all of our actions, which is the antithesis to free will, right? It didn't take me long to be absolutely convinced that determinism was true. It just seemed like a much more plausible explanation for how things happen. It doesn't, if you pay really close attention and you meditate, the actual concept of free will can melt away just in your own personal experience. Because it's like, okay, a thought appears in consciousness. Did you choose to think the thought? Who is the you that chose to think the thought? Go ahead and think your next thought. You're not going to be able to. And undoubtedly, whoever just heard this had some kind of thought like, what's he even talking about? Did you choose that thought? Where was your freedom of choice there? So for me, just my first person experience of free will instantly melted away. But for the vast majority of people, they go around in life being convinced that people have the freedom to choose what they do. And it's a kind of authoritarian free will where they get to choose it. This doesn't fit into a 2-minute segment on CNN. And neither does asexuality, and neither does polyamory. You know what I mean?
Right.
So the vast majority of people, unless they're prepared to have a longer conversation, aren't going to hear about this stuff. And what's bad about that is our attention spans are getting shorter because of social media and our dopamine delivery devices we call cell phones. So in a time where our attention span is getting the shortest it's ever been, we also have the more capacity to understand things we've never understood before. I think it's a fascinating paradox facing our future.
Right.
Anyway, that was a bit of a tangent.
That sounds like a pretty cool topic, though. So, when are you having your next live stream? Sunday, you said?
Sunday, yeah.
Okay, cool. So not Saturday, because I'm not missing the game. So,
No. So my show, for those of you that don't know, it is always Wednesday and Sunday. Always Wednesday and Sunday. Always from 7 until 9, and then sometimes 10 if I feel like I have enough to talk about.
Cool. All right. I don't think I'm doing Sunday, so probably be listening on Sunday too.
Yeah, I think Free Will is probably the one I'm gonna do on Sunday, since Liam's an asshole and isn't gonna do tier lists with me. What a fucking jerk.
Oh, Liam. Poor Liam.
So you have another, lifelong challenge that I know you recently told me you are, hopefully getting cochlear implants. Is that still happening, or did that happen, or where are you at with that?
Okay, so when I went to the audiologist a few months ago, they said that I had this, the there was a chance that I'd be qualified to get the implants through insurance. Um, so then I went last month and they did a whole bunch of different tests to see if I would qualify. Unfortunately, I do not because while my right hearing is in the profound levels, like which means it's like really really bad, like it's like worse than severe. Um, my left hearing is not. So my left hearing is pretty much strong enough to take care of my right hearing for now. So they're not doing the implants. I wouldn't be covered by insurance. Um, it is what it is. I'm not really upset by it, but I will be going again next year and doing all the tests again because I'm still kind of on that like line of needing them. So, but I can tell my hearing is getting worse because I don't know. I'll just do a quick recap. I was born with hearing loss, and it's been severe since I was born because my mother did not take care of herself when she was pregnant with me, and she was severely dehydrated when my ears and my eyes were developing, which is why I had such bad eyesight and hearing. Um, been like that my whole life, but it is getting worse. And I can tell because I used to be able to hear my sister Jessie. I used to be able to hear her without my hearing aids. I wouldn't be able to know what she was saying, but I would like hear her voice. I can't hear her voice anymore. When we went to the lake and we were in the water. She was literally yelling my name, and I couldn't hear her, and she wasn't even far away from me. She had to splash water to get my attention because I used to be able to hear her voice. I can't anymore. So I know my hearing's getting worse.
Wow.
Yeah. So, anyways, so I don't qualify them for them yet. I'm hoping. I don't know if I say I'm hoping to, but like, I would like to. I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain. Like, I do want to be able to hear better out of my right ear because I feel bad that my left ear is taking so much of the strain of hearing that my left ear is gonna start getting worse faster because it's trying so hard to make up for not being able to hear out of my right ear very well.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure that's what the doctors are probably concerned about too, right?
yeah, they are, and that's why they were having me come again next year, do all the tests again to see if there's any changes. But the biggest struggle through this whole thing, and yes, COVID itself is bad, but try to imagine somebody that literally relies on lip reading, and everybody's wearing masks, so you can't lip read to hear. It's so frustrating. Um, I when I was going through some stuff about a year and a half ago when we just started COVID, I got a second job to make ends meet, and I was working at Natural Grocers. I don't know. Have you ever been to Natural Grocers?
No.
Well, I personally love the store because it's a little bit smaller and it's great compared to like Whole Foods and all of that.
Yeah.
I really like it.
Cool.
Yeah, but I worked there as a second job for a little bit, and it was just around when COVID was starting, and the frustration of trying to hear customers with their mask on, it was so frustrating. I ended up actually leaving, just because I was just so frustrated all the time because I couldn't hear them. Like I never talked to them before. I don't know the way to talk. Like I can talk to you, Alex, on the phone or like this because I've known you for so long that I know the way you speak. I know what you're saying without having to read your lips.
Right.
And it's like that with my family members too. But with random people, I can't do that. I've never talked to them before in my life. I don't know if they have, a dialect or an accent. And if they do, it makes it 10% harder because I don't understand what they're saying.
It's a lot harder to put the sounds together when they're only coming in at, a way lower quality signal, essentially. Yeah.
Exactly. And then they put a mask on their face, and I definitely can't understand you now. So, not only would I be happy when COVID is over for obvious reasons, for health reasons, for everybody, on top of the whole mask thing, the whole mask thing.
No, but that's a very real thing for you. I mean, that I remember when we first met, that was probably one of the things I told you is I had the advantage before we met of I had dated a girl who had severe hearing loss since birth. She was born prematurely at like 24 weeks. And so I had to go through the whole experience of slowing down, always looking at her so she could help, read my lips, and destroying my Boston accent because good luck trying to understand what the hell I was saying with a Boston accent.
Well, it also helped that you're loud. If you are a loud male, that helped me like a lot too.
For sure.
If you're a quiet female, I'm just like, what the fuck are you saying? I don't know what you're saying to me right now. Like, and that's why I think also, it was easy for me to become friends with Sarah at first because she's so loud.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And she was very easy to talk to just voice-wise, too, because
She doesn't have the typical, high-pitched woman voice either.
Exactly. Like, I had that, and I know that I had that. But she didn't, and so that made it a lot easier for me, too. And then, of course, meeting you when I hated you in high school. Good time.
I was enemy number one. I was, for everybody in chat and whoever watches this recording later, when Jen and I first met, okay, how do we put this? She became my ex's best friend, and I was not good to that ex. And vice versa.
Yeah, it was definitely two things. Yeah.
It was a toxic two-way relationship.
Yeah.
But now, she's my ex's ex-best friend. And you know what they say? The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
That's true. It's hilarious how life works, huh?
It is. It is funny. She's not actually my enemy. I'm kidding. I don't think.
Yeah, but I know what you mean though. But it's just funny how much you've changed since high school. Like, if you would have told me 12 years ago that we would be talking right now like this, and I would not be friends with Sarah anymore, I probably would have laughed.
Oh, for sure.
I would have been like, yeah, right.
Imagine telling high school Alex that he's going to realize in his early 20s after he's had 3 children that he's an atheist and wants to divorce his wife.
Damn.
Yeah.
Probably would have laughed too. You're like, okay.
I'd probably respond violently. Like, how the hell do you know? You don't know me. What parallel universe are you from,
Oh my god. I don't know why, but whenever I picture high school Alex, I think of, you always had this white shirt with black lettering on the side. I cannot remember the brand, but it was a white shirt that had a black lettering on the side. You had a blue hat. Blue ball cap hat that you always wore. God, what was on the hat? Was it a Patriot hat? I don't think it was a Patriot hat, but I can't remember. But you had a blue hat all the time, ball cap. Do you remember that? You definitely.
Always the hats, for sure.
You and Sarah would always skip gym.
Mm-hmm.
Remember her telling me about that all the time. Just your Fiero. Remember your Fiero.
That's what everybody remembers. It's the car.
Of course.
I can promise you, as soon as my kids are old enough, I'm buying another one.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I remember your Fiero. I remember that. I remember being in your Fiero. Good times.
I love Fieros. They're so dope.
Yeah. It was a nice car. I liked it.
They're so quirky. You know what's funny is I just bought an equally quirky car.
Yeah? What's that?
I bought a 2022 Kia Soul.
No? You bought a fucking Kia Soul?
I bought a Kia Soul, yeah.
I would not have guessed that.
No.
I would not have guessed
I
that.
just love quirky cars that everyone else is like, oh, that's interesting,
What's next? A PT Cruiser?
No, fuck that. That's not quirky. That's like, ugh. Here's another quirky car I would go for, okay?
Okay.
A 90s Jeep Grand Wagoneer with the wood panels. That's
The wood
quirky.
panel?
Oh,
You
God,
have to have
yes.
the wood panel,
Gotta,
yes.
yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Oh my god.
A Subaru Baja. You ever seen those?
I don't think I have, no.
Let's pull it up.
Okie dokie.
When you see this, you're gonna be like, that is the ugliest thing I've ever seen. Oh boy. Here you go.
Oh my god.
It's like
What is that?
it's like a pickup car.
What's the point of it?
There is none. There is absolutely no point to that at all.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's your next car, I guess.
I mean, it's just so silly. Like, and I can't get over how silly it is. Look at that. I'm sorry. The payload of the bed can only hold one bike. That's why.
Oh my god. I mean, oh god.
You got a second bike with you? You're gonna have to drive with it along the road. Somebody will have to hang on to the handlebars.
That's ridiculous.
No, I'm kidding. I'm sure it
Wow.
can hold. I'm sure it can hold 4
Oh my
bikes.
gosh, you know what'd be hilarious? Hey man, we're moving this weekend. You got a pickup truck? Well, I have something like a pickup truck. And you show up in that. Oh my god.
I can transport your pillows and blankets. How about that?
One chair.
We got a box full of books. Can't be this one. Gonna have to find a real pickup. That's
Oh
funny.
my god. I would love to see that in like a comedy sketch or something.
Oh
my
yeah.
God.
Oh yeah. So it was really funny. The day after I bought the Soul, I drove to Cedar Rapids for work. I had to do some of my stores up there. And that night at the hotel, I DoorDashed a 12-pack of White Claw to my hotel room.
Yeah.
And I took a snap after it got there. I said, yesterday I bought a 22 Kia Soul, and today I'm DoorDashing a 12-pack of White Claw to my hotel room. I think I've become a middle-aged lesbian.
Just embrace it, Alex. Just embrace it.
Oh, man. To which all of my middle-aged lesbian friends snapped me back with, like, welcome to the club, basically.
That's hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
I love that. Oh, man. I know. I just realize as you get older, like, the simple stuff. Like, I'm super excited because on this next paycheck, I'm buying myself a water filter pitcher. I'm so excited to buy a water filter pitcher and not drink tap water anymore. I'm just so excited about this. And
Heck yeah.
it's like, yeah, right? I'm like so excited about this. And I recently also bought a carpet cleaner. Super excited about this carpet cleaner. You know, it's just exciting around here. It's about as exciting as it get.
I'll tell you what we got. I think you can see it behind me. Last year, maybe. It might have been I think it was just last year. We got an air fryer.
Ooh.
And it revolutionized how we cook in the kitchen. The air fryer, so dope.
I do not have an air fryer. I have a toaster oven, but I don't have an air fryer yet, and I am thinking about getting one. The crock pot is a great friend of mine. I make
Oh,
some
yeah.
hella good recipes in a crock pot. But yeah, I don't have an air fryer yet. I need to get one of those, so I'll probably get one of those soon too. But man, adulting is so fun, Alex. Like, to buy all this stuff that you never would have bought 10 years ago, but you're
Yeah.
definitely buying now.
And that you wouldn't think that you would be excited about.
Don't get me wrong, I'm still excited to play games and buy games and play them and all that type of stuff, but I sure as hell am excited to buy other stuff too that most people would find boring. But
My Soul has the new lane assist. Have you seen that in the new cars?
what is it?
It's like the automatic lane assist where it will.
Yes, I have.
I was so enamored with the fact that it could go around a curve on the highway without me touching the steering wheel. I just thought that was the coolest shit I had ever seen. Like, this car has autopilot. This is amazing. You know? And I'm like,
That's like great. Oh my gosh. Speaking of cars, did I tell you that my car got broken into?
no.
Yeah. I live in Johnston, mind you. I live in a nice community. My car got broken into in the apartment complex. And the idiot was going around the parking lot looking for cars that were unlocked. I thought I had locked my car. I had not. So he got into my car, went through all my stuff. I had nothing of use. I had K-pop CDs and Backstreet Boy CDs, nothing that he would like. Yeah, right? He literally, all of my CDs, everything was fine. It was just all over my, dashboard and on the floor and on my seat,
You want to know what I find cute?
What?
The fact that you still had CDs.
Okay, but you have to understand, when you're a K-pop fan, you collect CDs, and then I just happen to have Backstreet. Well, they don't call them CDs; they call them albums. But I have Backstreet Boys CDs because, I mean, the Backstreet Boys, like, you have to buy the CD. Like, and I have a CD player in my car, so I was like, hell yeah! So I had all of my like albums and CDs in there, and well, the guy that broke into my car didn't take any of it because none of that interested him. But he was an idiot because he pulled something, I think like the trunk release button or something on the side of my car, and he was bleeding. So he got blood all over the bottom of my car. Like,
Oh my god.
the I don't know how he got it cut or whatever, but he did. He didn't bother cleaning it up or anything. There's blood all over the bottom of my car. So the police officer was able to get a sample from that. And so once the DNA testing comes back, that person's gonna be caught. But that was really dumb.
That's unreal.
Right? Like, I'll send you a picture actually, Alex, if you want to see, but like, really, are you that dumb that you literally just free bleeding all over the bottom of my car? So now, you're gonna get caught. Like, are you dumb? But
Well, look,
yeah.
we are talking about somebody who was criminally breaking into a car that had nothing of value, so they weren't that smart, obviously.
Well, I think he tried to steal my car because he messed up my ignition.
Oh.
So to the point where I could not start my car. I couldn't get my key in the ignition. It would not start. So I actually had to get it towed and had to pay the deductible for my insurance and everything for that. So that really sucks.
So yeah, he's probably trying to jack it.
He was trying to jack it. He did not. He didn't. I don't think he got anybody's car. I think the police officer said I was the 6th call that day when I called at 1 p.m. for the apartment complex. So this guy had been going around all the different cars in the apartment complex, but he said that there were no cars stolen.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Right? It's ridiculous. But anyway, sorry to just randomly change the subject there, but like, how dumb can you be? Like, I think it was probably just a bored kid or something. But, well, yeah. He didn't get anything. I literally had nothing for him in my car. So, anybody out there trying to steal my car, go for it. There's nothing of value in there. My car is really old too, so enjoy, have fun.
Speaking of bored kid, I'm doing bored kid things this month. I am finally happy about the return of live music. So I actually have 2 metalcore shows that I will be going to, like I'm 17 again before the end of the month here. Animals as Leaders and Veil of Maya are playing at Woolies here downtown.
Mm-hmm.
And then because I travel for work, I can be kind of clever about where I go, and I happen to do Mason City and Spirit Lake, which are closer to the Minnesota border.
Okay.
So if I plan a night up there, I can book a hotel 2 hours from Minneapolis and go to shows in Minneapolis.
True.
So I'm going to go see August Burns Red play through their very first album live at the Fillmore in Minneapolis on the 30th, and I am super stoked.
Nice. That's awesome. Oh, metalcore concerts, good times, good times.
We went to a few of those.
Jeez. Yeah, I remember seeing you at Perkins after the Haste Today concert way back when.
Oh yeah.
That was the same concert I had a Converse shoe thrown at my head. I don't know how it happened, but somebody literally threw a Converse shoe. I was on the edge of the mosh pit, so I don't know if that had nothing to do with it.
Let's be honest, it's not a good metal show if you don't get a Converse shoe thrown at your head.
Right?
Like,
Some
really.
random Converse shoe came out of nowhere, smacked me on the side of the head, because of course those things hurt. They're hard. They're not like soft tennis shoes. They're like fucking, I don't know, whatever. Anyway, I looked down. There's a Converse shoe. Somebody's missing the flipping shoe. It hit me in the side of the head. I will never forget that concert. It's my favorite concert. Oh my gosh, I love that concert because they played my favorite Haste Today song, Substance. So.
Oh, that's right. They did play Substance that night because that's the first time I had seen them like a bajillion times, and they had never played it live,
Yeah.
other than like the first 2 times I saw them. But that's because
I was so excited. I was like, "Oh my gosh!"
That's
I
funny.
freaked out.
that's so funny.
Oh man, good time. But yeah, I still remember getting contact high at the first concert I ever went to with you and Corey.
Mm-hmm. Which one was that? That was that.
Pink Floyd.
Oh yeah, Think Floyd. Legendary Pink Floyd cover band.
We went there, my first concert, and I remember getting contact high. Sarah was upset because she couldn't go because she was in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, I have great memory in case you couldn't tell. But yeah, I remember going, and the only thing I don't remember was Corey not dating at that time. I don't remember.
I think you were.
Whatever.
I think you were flirting. I don't think you were dating.
Yeah, I think we were flirting too. And I remember that concert because it was just literally like a fog of smoke, like just literally smoke.
Yeah,
everywhere.
there was more weed in the air than air, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And I'd never been around anything like that before because me growing up, the pretty strict family and all that. I'd never been around that before, and that was the first experience for me. It all went downhill from there. So thanks, Alex. Appreciate you for that.
You know, I can't take full response. This is why I argue about free will. It's to actually escape responsibility for, guiding people down dark paths when we were teenagers. I'm kidding.
Yeah, no, honestly, I am. Okay, you probably don't, but you know the song by Avril Lavigne, "What the Hell."
I absolutely do know that song, actually. Thank you.
That is my theme song for the past year now. I'm just like, what the fuck? Why not? When we were in Missouri, I was literally, when we were at the outside bar, I was looking for some guys, just to hang out and flirt with, and just, why not? I was looking for some guy to woo me and, just have a good time with, even though I was only going to be there for 3 days. And that night only, actually. I didn't want to have sex or anything with him. I just want to hang out with him and, attention, and it's just fun to flirt. I like flirting. It's fun.
Flirting is a blast.
Right? Exactly. I just wanted someone to flirt with, and I was looking good that night. I had my, what I call my boobalicious dress on, because my dress was, very nicely showing my boobs. And I went into... What?
There's just something hilarious
What?
about the fact that we talked about asexuality for an hour and a half, and then you're like, so I threw my best booby shirt on.
See, the thing is, it doesn't affect me, but I know it affects guys, and I use that to my advantage. Because,
Look out. Men everywhere. Look out.
Exactly. I know, look, there's one thing I know how to do is to flirt. I will say I'm a pretty good flirt. I know how to do it. I've done it for years now, and I've gotten pretty good at it.
That's funny.
Yeah. Anyways, so I was just excited, just what the hell? I'm gonna go and, just talk to the guy and flirt with him. And my sisters wouldn't let me. They kept pulling me away. And I was like, I don't want to do anything with him. I just want to flirt with him. God damn it. And there's this random guy just came up and gave me a hug. Was like, you look like you needed a hug tonight. It's like, I did. Thank you so much. And he was like, do you want to come get a drink with me? And my sister pulled me away. I was like, damn it. I was getting so close to flirting with the guy. Stop it.
That's weak.
Oh, man. Yeah, so I'm at that point in my life, I just don't care anymore. I literally just drove 4 hours to go hang out with a guy that I will not be having ever relationship with ever, probably, just because it's fun to hang out with him, and I wanted cuddles. I really wanted cuddles. And everybody called me his girl, and I really liked that, even though I would never be his girl, which kind of sucked. That's a whole nother ball game, but you already know part of that story.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, but like I said,
so much of the rush of that is about what it represents to everybody else. You want that recognition that you're special to that person, and you want other people to see it.
Yep.
And that's got nothing to do with sexuality. That's just human relationships in a nutshell.
Yeah. And who doesn't like to feel important? Who doesn't want to feel like they like that night when I was out. Of course, I put my best dress on that would grab attention. Of course, I made myself look good. I felt good, you know.
Mm-hmm. Hell yeah.
So I wanted to go have fun. I wanted to flirt with guys, get free drinks. Nothing to do with sexuality at all. It's just I enjoy doing that. As bad as it sounds. Okay. I will say, over the years, I've become very cold-hearted and cynical when it comes to dating and guys.
Of course.
That's expected. I have no problem, as bad as it sounds, hanging out with a frat boy, and the next day not talking to him. Bad as that sounds.
The power trip is real.
Yes, and most people can't understand that, but when you've gone through as many, this sounds so bad. I'm not trying to say I've gone through a lot of guys, even though I have. But you get to the point where you know what you want, what you don't want, what to expect, and what not to expect
Mm-hmm.
out of certain guys. If the guy is genuinely nice, I'm gonna be nice to them, But if they're just like wanting to have a good time, whatever, and hang out with me, well, sorry. I'm not gonna be very nice to you. Oh my god, I'm a terrible person. But anyways,
Well,
I learned how to flirt that way.
as somebody who used to be a genuine asshole, I can say that old me deserved it. And now as somebody who is sometimes accused of being too nice, a funny
Well,
180 I never would have expected. I can appreciate that because I think a big part of the problem with men and their shitty behavior is it gets reinforced because they don't pay any consequences for it.
right. And go along with that, you know how I used to be. I used to be too nice and innocent and stuff, and I'm not like that anymore.
Yeah,
I'm definitely not
you
too
get-
nice or innocent at all.
You get burned
So-
for it too.
Thanks. But so I'm in the point in my life where I just don't give a fuck anymore.
Hell yeah.
Don't,
Hell
I don't
yeah.
give a fuck anymore. I just really don't. So, if I do actually find a genuine guy out there that I feel like, no, because the one thing about asexuality, and I don't think people understand this, is I wasn't like, oh, I'm asexual, yay, woohoo, and then that was that. No, I struggle with it. At first, I went through some self-loath about it because I was like, fuck, I'm asexual. Like, this
Yeah.
is gonna be frustrating, I hate that I'm like this. Why can't my life be easy? Why can't I just find a guy that loves sex and I like sex too, and we can have a family and kids and for a while there was a time I really hated being asexual.
Yeah, of course.
I come to terms with it. And now that I have, I'm at the point in my life I'm like, well, what the fuck? I'm just gonna, have a good time, live my life, whatever. I'm gonna go flirt with some guys, I'm gonna go to the bar because I'm single. And everybody else I know is married with kids, but I'm not. I'm single, I'm almost 30, and I just want to go have a drink and flirt with some guys and feel a little important for a little bit,
Well, what are you doing tonight?
Huh?
What are you doing after this?
Nothing really.
All right, well, let's go grab a drink and we'll flirt with some guys.
Okay, but on a Wednesday night, it's not really a really good crowd on a Wednesday night.
Oh, I can find one.
Oh, okay. Well, all right, but in any case, yeah, that's where I am in my life right now, and so
I don't blame you.
yeah, I'm just like, man, it is what it is. I've accepted who I am, and that's what I'm gonna be for the rest of my life.
I have another song that you're going to be actually surprised by me suggesting this one, but
What is it?
it's also part of the similar mood you're in. The legendary "So What" by Pink.
Oh my gosh, yes. Okay, but Pink is great. Let's be real. Pink is great.
Pink
but yeah.
exudes everything I want to be in life.
Yes.
Like she just, yeah. You want to talk about that? I don't give a fuck. I'm a badass attitude, and then at the same point, like, oh, she's awesome.
Yeah. So
Pink-
that's kind of my mood.
Pink,
right
if you're
now.
watching, I've had a crush on you for like 15 years, just so you know.
Yeah. Please. But yeah, no, that's definitely the mood I've been in for a while. I'm just like, whatever. I've done like I said, I've gotten drunk and high, and just had a good time. I would have never done that. Like, even since recent as 3 years ago, I not would have done that. But now I'm just like, fuck, not gonna hurt. I'm gonna experience it.
Have you thought of other don't give a fuck experiences that you want to have?
Yeah.
Like what?
I want to try acid.
Hell yes, I'm with you.
Yeah, I want to try acid.
We could do it together. Let's find a babysitter. Let's do it.
But yeah, it's something I've been wanting to try for a while. I'm like, why not? I want to try these experiences. I want to try new things. I'm not, I don't make enough money to travel. Otherwise, I'd travel everywhere, and
for sure
get new experiences, but I just don't have that money. But otherwise, I'd be doing that instead. But I'm like, you know what? I'm still young. I'm not 30 yet, 40 yet. I can experience all this stuff while I'm still single and able to do whatever the fuck I want. So why not? As long as it doesn't kill me, I'm good.
Is acid the only one on your list?
At the moment, it's probably number one. I don't know what else. I don't want to do anything, obviously. So long story short, I don't really have any friends right now. Because one of my last group of friends got badly into drugs such as heroin and meth.
Oof.
And so
and you got the fuck out of there.
Yep.
Yeah.
I sure did.
Yeah.
Because one of the friends and their sister got, they were in a motel and they got kind of by the police. So, I didn't want to be a part of that. And I immediately left that group of friends. And so because of all that, I would rather not go down that road. Besides, obviously, because they're bad for you. But
you just reminded me. I got to put this in the Discord because psychedelics is another topic I want to cover.
Oh, there we go.
You and I could talk about it together because I'm curious how you came upon that idea.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, so definitely stuff on the try. I've actually been meaning to also ask. Okay. So you know how I told you I went up to Minnesota, right?
Yeah.
That's where I got both drunk and high. The old me and that house where it was, where there was like literally a whole bunch of guys and girls coming and going. It's like one of those places where there's like literally a pile of shoes by the front door. And everybody's just, having a great time. The place is a hot mess. That gave me the heebie-jeebies, but that's besides the point. Anyway, the place was a hot mess, and everybody was just having fun. Did not care in the world. They were all just chilling and smoking, and the guy was like, "Hey, you want an edible?" And I was like, "Hell yeah, I do." And he just gave me an edible.
Fuck
and
yeah.
It's just, I know, right? And it's just like that feeling of just carefreeness.
I'll tell you what, too. Edibles are my favorite way to consume THC because they metabolize a very different way than when it's like smoked or anything like that, and it gives you this much more like full experience. And it's like Joe Rogan talks about it, and even Sam Harris talks about it's closer to the experience of a psychedelic than just consuming THC regularly, even though you're not going to have like altered vision or auditory hallucinations typically. It's changing your experience and adding color to it in a way more like a psychedelic would when you do edibles, at least if you're doing a fairly significant dose of them.
Yes, exactly. And I tried the smoke way, and I do not like it that way. I don't enjoy doing it the way by smoking. I prefer edibles as well. That's my favorite way to do it, and I haven't done it a whole lot, but it doesn't take much. I'm a lightweight, both in drinking. Okay. You wanna know how much of a lightweight I am, Alex? Okay.
Let's hear it.
Okay, so when we were in Missouri, and I was on vacation with my siblings, the last night before we left, I was exhausted. We had just went to the state park. We did a lot of hiking, okay? I was super tired. So on top of that, we went to the bar. And all I had was one screwdriver and a peanut butter whiskey shot. That's all I had. And I was drunk off my butt. That's all I had. Okay? Um, on top of also being super tired. I was just so drunk. I needed help getting up the stairs. Just mind you, that's all I had was a screwdriver and a peanut butter whiskey shot. So
I drive home after that.
exactly. That's how much of a lightweight I am.
That's crazy to me.
I know. So just imagine that. But when I went to Minnesota and I was both high and drunk at the same time, I drank more than that. And on top of that, I had an edible. And holy shit. That's a great night. I thought it was going to be super annoying, but I wasn't, thank God. But, maybe I was, I don't know. But, oh man. Sorry. That was like a really random topic that we just started on there.
Well, speaking of,
Right.
what are you doing Saturday?
I'm watching the game.
But after.
Nothing that I can think of.
We're having a get-together at my new apartment out in Van Meter, which I know is a little bit of a drive from Johnston, but it's only like 25 minutes probably.
That's not bad.
No, it's just past Waukee, and it's for Micah's birthday.
Aww.
But when I heard when you say that you have no friends right now, that makes me real sad. And you're definitely our friend, and I think that you I won't get in trouble for inviting you. I'm sure.
Aww. Well,
I'm inviting
you are my friend. I didn't
Jenny
mean
to
by
birthday
that, but
bash.
like,
Is that okay? I figured you
Yeah.
didn't care.
yeah, no, for sure. I would love to come. Literally, and it sounds really sad, but like, literally, you and I don't know if you know Jordan Plymell. I don't know if you know who that is.
I think so.
Plymell. Yeah. Anyways, you two are like literally my only friend, and I don't even hang out with either of you either. So it's like, my only friends right now are kind of my siblings.
I'm always looking to hang out. Where's the invites, yo?
Well, I don't really go out either, so it kind of, But hey, I would love to come Saturday. I'll have to write this down so I don't forget or something. But yeah, for sure, I'd love to come out Saturday after the game.
I think I can add you to the event on Facebook. Let me do that.
Okay, sounds good. Pookie, honey, what, buddy? I will take you out in a little bit. You're fine. You're okay, buddy. Come here.
But just take me out now, he says.
I know. He just was looking at me. He's like, "Mommy, take me out." I'm like, "You're fine. I just took you out before this started. You're fine." You was so cute. Yes, you are. Oh no, buddy, come here. I know you want some love. Come cuddle me. Mwah. But yeah, so if you ever do a live stream, I don't know if you will because it's kind of a dark and hard topic to talk about. If you ever do one on anxiety or depression, I definitely want to be there to listen to it. Because I've had quite the trip with that about a year and a half ago. And I managed to get myself better to where I am today. But it's just crazy how much that can affect your life. I didn't know until about a year and a half ago.
Yeah. Something that, at least on the depression side, I hadn't really experienced much in my life until the past few years. And that's definitely a very real topic that is on a lot of people's minds because it's at an all-time high, especially in our generation. More and more people are struggling with it. It's a reality in my life all across the board. It's something that my wife struggles with. It's something that many of my friends struggle with. So, yeah, I think it's one of those topics that I don't know, I've debated or I've thought about doing it, but I don't even know what angle I would want to talk about it from.
Right, that's true.
So I threw it in the topic suggestion channel, and then maybe we'll revisit that at some point in a couple weeks, probably.
Yeah, and just even the talk of like the medication for it and everything is like crazy too.
It's wild. There's so much.
Yeah, I know, and like that's why I say my most important life lesson for anybody on medication: don't ever cold turkey your medication. Like it is bad. Don't do it.
Yeah.
I did it, and I regret doing it because did not go well for me. don't have to do it.
It can have really, really detrimental effects for sure.
Exactly. And I am just happy to say that I beat whatever, was going on back then. I don't want to get into detail, but and I am where I am today, and I'm thankful for it, but of course I still struggle with it. So,
Yeah.
and
Well,
back to the sexuality topic, there's actually an unusually high amount of suicides through asexuality.
I believe that.
People think they're going to be alone forever. So,
The thing, one of the things, and I didn't really talk about this too much, but it is an underlying fact that you have to know for like what we talked about on the Sunday show.
Yeah.
Is so I talked a lot about the evolutionary history of monogamy, right?
Right.
The whole reason that happens is because of a prior evolutionary development, which is just socialization in general.
Mm-hmm.
Why did we evolve to socialize? Well, if you haven't noticed, we're not the biggest primates on the block. So for human beings like ourselves to have had a survival advantage long enough to still be here, we had to work together to fight off predators. And even working together, most of our ancestors were still too weak to fight off the majority of predators in the, Saharan Africa that we were mostly isolated in, right?
Right.
So that's the thing. A lot of people don't know. Before everything else comes our social needs. It's more important than literally every other factor of our lives in terms of how our brain gives us rewards, which is obviously like what depression and anxiety do. Is there disorders that have to do with like the reward system in the brain, right? Mm-hmm. Inability to enjoy typical rewards is depression. Mm-hmm. Anxiety is where, fear of not getting the reward or, situations that where you could lose a potential reward. Like those situations are a lot harder to deal with and actually cause a really like negative experience. Those are developments that we had biologically that can be useful, right?
Right.
But when they become out of balance and we have too much of them, then it becomes a really big problem. So I think that a lot of people don't think of that. So neuroscientists have actually figured out that when your brain is not working on any active task, you're not thinking about a conversation, you're not currently trying to go make dinner or make food, right? When your brain is essentially at rest, it's the default network always goes back to social thinking. You'll start thinking about your relationships and conversations with people. It's kind of when you shut all the noise off. You notice how that's always the space where you go, I wonder what that one's up to. And I really missed that time that I did this. Oh, and God, that event was so fun. Like that always tends to be the kind of things we think about when nothing else is going on, is social moments.
Ooh, that makes so much sense now that you said that, Alex, because whenever I would get into like one of my moods where I was just like really get into my mind or whatever, I'd have to immediately get up and start cleaning. I'd have to start cleaning and get my mind off my mind. Like I could not just sit there and think or watch TV or whatever. I have to get up and do something. So
Yeah, especially
that's
if your current social position is like not what you want it to be, or you're thinking about the fact that a lot of the relationships that you had at one time aren't where you would have liked them to be, or maybe have caused you a lot of pain.
right.
If the second all the noise goes away, that's where your mind goes. That's going to be very painful. It's going to be very hard to deal with.
Right, and that's why I got so into cleaning, and that's why now I have to clean all the time.
Yeah.
I have, I can't deal with the dirt and dust. Like I have to clean, and it makes my mind at ease. People are like, oh, why do you like cleaning? And I'm like, because it helps me. It makes me feel like I did something. I'm accomplishing something,
Mm-hmm.
and also it puts my mind at ease. I feel like I did something, and I don't have to think.
Yeah.
Just on getting rid of dirt, and I'm hoping that that will calm down a little bit soon because I don't want to turn to OCD. But I wouldn't be surprised if it does. But because of what I went through about a year and a half ago, um, with all my mental issues, I am now considered a clean freak. I used to not be that way, but now I am. Now I have to lint roller everything. My dog gets so annoyed though because he'll be sleeping like on my pillow. Before I get into bed, I have to move him and lint roller my pillow because I'm like, excuse me, there's dog hair all over my pillow. That's not okay. He gets annoyed because I have to wake him up and move him so I can lint roller my pillow.
Oh my god.
Yep, I am that person now. That is me.
It's so funny because like this is a really big deal that a lot of people don't realize. Our generation reports typically only having 0 to 2 really close friends, whereas that number was 4 to 5 for even the Gen Xers.
God, that do you ever just think about, Alex, when we were younger, how easy it was just to have a group of friends,
Yeah.
just to make friends? I miss that. I miss being able to do that. Now I'm struggling to just find somebody to like make friends with, Like it's hard and it's hard with social media because like we used to go out and go do things, before social media. You would go to clubs and like you still go to clubs and stuff, but like it's not the same, if that makes sense. Like
How can you build relationships when the second there's any downtime, instead of thinking about what you might say to your friend that might strengthen your bond with them, you both just pick up your phone and stare at it.
right, and it's hard. Like and it's gonna sound weird. I both love and hate the internet. I love the internet because of all the information out there, and also because I do have genuine like online friends. There's 3 or 4 online friends I've known for about 5 years now. That we're all very close. We talk to each other all the time on Snapchat and whatnot.
Yeah.
But it sucks because they all live in different states. One lives in New York, one lives in Ohio, one lives in Michigan. Like it's like I have friends, but they don't. Most of them don't live near me. So it's like yay and nay. But because that's an option now with the internet and everything, you don't go out and do stuff anymore. Like you don't go out and bowling and go to bowling and go like go do things. You just kind of stay home and it's just fine. I mean, I don't know, it's just harder to make friends that way when you get older.
Well, and I'll tell you, there's another thing that happens too. Sometimes you don't know how much you mean to the friends that you do have. And sometimes it can be really easy to overlook opportunities to spend quality time with them, because the other thing is, and we're all guilty of this, everybody under the age of 35 right now is guilty of this, okay? One of the things that social media and the notification age has done to us
Right.
is make us always look for the next better thing to give our attention to. We're never satisfied with the current thing that's in our attention, and we don't take the time to just sit there and enjoy it. It's like you'll have a group of friends even now get together, and it's like, what can we go out and do? Like, we can't just enjoy just sitting here enjoying each other's company, maybe have a drink or two and just relax. And like, that's not good enough for people, and they'll literally be like, I don't know, I'm bored, I think I'll go do this. And we hop to the next thing, and we never stop to think about all the opportunities we're missing along the way. And again, another tragic part is because of the social stigmas around being able to express love for one another and really show how much we care for one another. None of us know who our friends sometimes really even are and whether or not they actually care about us.
Right.
I thought Corey Allen was going to be one of my friends for life. And then it was just like one day my friendship didn't mean shit. And that sucked. The people I could make the easiest connections with were the ones who weren't constantly, dove into their devices and could actually sit down and have a real conversation like you and I are having right now,
Right.
Anyways, this is a long way around to get to this. this, but I will say this. You mean a lot to me. And I'll say this live on stream in front of everybody. I'd have your back anytime, anything you ever needed. I will always be there for you because I think you're an incredible person. And I'm so glad that you have discovered these things about yourself and made these improvements. And even though it may seem hard, you might not realize that you have people who admire you from not very far away. So that's the love I can give for you tonight. How about that?
Aw, that's really sweet. Nobody's ever really said something like that to me before. But I will say this to you too, Alex. Despite our rocky start of a friendship way back when.
Because I was an asshole.
Well, we were also in high school, so I think we all were assholes, because I was too,
True.
in a way.
True.
But anyways, I am glad that we reached this point in our lives where we can be friends and we're both more mature than we used to be. And that I do have somebody that I can talk to if I need to, and that there's somebody that is still open-minded, and that's just awesome to me. That's something that's so hard to find in this age and this day and age. And I'm just so lucky that you're my friend and that you're here and you're around and you're trying to talk about things that a lot of people won't talk about. So that really makes me happy.
Well, thanks. That's what I'm trying to do. And you are correct. It is hard to find. I was at the Altoona Walmart today because it's one of the stores I visit. And there was a lady in a Jeep that had literally like handmade pieces of paper about how we are all under the government's spell and they're trying to kill us all with their vaccines. And we serve the God of this world, Satan, but she serves God above. And it was absolutely... Imagine being so nuts into all these conspiracy theories that you hand make signs to put on your car.
Well,
a lot of people are stuck so far in their thinking that they are unreachable. But here at my stream, if it ever grows beyond the 40 or 50 people that come check it out occasionally, which I hope it does, this is the mission, exactly like you said, to talk about those things that are on the outskirts that a lot of people aren't really thinking about.
right.
Because that is what I do. I think about the stuff that other people aren't. And my wife's sick of being the only one that has to hear about it. So, sorry, everybody else. This is what you got. This is what you got. You want to know what? Have you seen how I closed the show with the Onion before? Do you know about this?
Did I not see it last week?
No, but that was a special one, so I didn't do it because I wanted to close on my point. So every night at the end of the show, before we sign off, we go read the headlines on the Onion because it's the funniest website on planet Earth, and it's completely underappreciated.
It's so funny. The Onion too, because it's hilarious. It's just nice to see something like that.
Yeah, like sometimes you have to joke about the fact that the news is horrible, and you have to just laugh about it. So,
Right.
Signs it's time to put your parents in a nursing home. Here we go.
God.
Oh, boy. You know it's time when they're disrupting your daily routine, not just once, but twice a year. Oh,
my God.
no. Come on. It's time. It's a long shot, but man, that would save you some fucking awful conversations, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that is true.
If your parents older than 55, they are no longer capable of caring for themselves and must be sent to a nursing home. 55.
Oh my
That's
God.
horrible. Excessively needy behavior like annual phone calls and constant requests for your current address typically suggest it's time to place your parents somewhere secure with limited access to a phone.
Oh my God.
Your adorable aging father has lived with you for 5 years, but your new lease specifically forbids the elderly. Besides, it's better than just cutting him loose in the woods. Oh, jeez. That's all it takes, old man. Pack your things and we'll see you for 45 minutes at Christmas.
Oh my God, they're so bad.
Oh, they slip up once by calling you the wrong name. That's what it says. You find them sobbing, "I've lived too long. This world has passed me by." Seniors' moods could be vastly improved by sharing a space with contemporaries who are also cursing the heavens that they've outlived their usefulness. Oh no! You don't have time to look after 100 elderly people in your home anymore. After a while, it's too much and it's time to let somebody else handle the operation.
Oh my god.
Both you and your sister live on the West Coast. Oh, like either of you are going to move back to Illinois to make sure mom doesn't slip on the front steps.